But the one thing that you must remember is that if you burn all of your bridges, there will be nobody to help you out in life to help yourself up the ladder. So it's important to try and mend these broken relationships and show forgiveness to your friends. You might not be able to do it immediately, but over time heals everything. If I ran off all of my friends, I would not be able to make movies with anybody. So that's why forgiveness is in order.
Mastermind family, welcome back to the show. I am your host, JoJo. In today's Artist Motivation, we bring out the hottest, latest artists and allow them to bring insight, inspiration, and hope so you can go out and create amazing content. And today's special guest is Kevin Neece. Kevin, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, and you?
I am doing fantastic, man. Kevin, why don't you go ahead and tell yourself a little bit to the people and just, what you do and, things of that nature.
Okay, well, I am Kevin Neece, also known as Kevin from the Other Dimension. I was a writer, director, technical director on Austin Public Access Zombie Life TV, and once I left that show, I started doing documentary films with my former co-stars, such as my friends visiting museums and witchcraft markets and drag burlesque shows, and most importantly, live Austin music events at places like Texas Mist or Beerland, Texas, just to showcase these local businesses. But one of the things I also do on the side as a hobby, which I started in public access, is I make a fan and film anime video comic show called Bad Goddess and Marla Gets a Spinoff. Plus the spinoff shows A Certain Magical Pimp Decks and You're Under Arrest Again, most of which is based on the work of mangaka Kazuki Fujishima of All My Goddess fame. Now, one thing that I must say right now is I am not the illustrator on these comics. These are made on a budget of zero using stock animation. What I do is I screen capture the TV shows that I'm pulling from where the characters are being taken out of context, and I erase the backgrounds around them to turn them into animation cells. And then I Photoshop them together into the images that I want, and then I edit those images together in a video and add subtitles for my script. And then I add a music track to it, but it does not have a voice track. I have only just recently experimented adding a voice cast using text-to-speech translators because none of the live-action actors really want to work on this show. But, there's only like a handful of episodes left, but that's what I'm working on right now. And do you have any questions?
Yeah, wow. So how did you actually, get started doing that?
How did I get started to it? Well, it's a long story. See, if you're really interested in this, I have a book online called The Stories, and I got to experiment with pre-shows, but that was because I did it without the creative director's consent. That was the last of that. So eventually, after some drama, I left Alamo Drafthouse, and for the next 10 years, I could not get a job at all. But what I did when I left there was I continued the editing. While these were only watched by my friends and all these little music video things, you can watch my early work on YouTube. These little music video montage clips, I made about just one after the other, just bunches of them. And then I tried to turn those in the Alamo Drafthouse, and they looked at me and said, no theater in America is ever going to run this. So then I got interested in a show called Horror Remix that ran at Alamo Drafthouse. This was a fan edit show where this guy took these themed horror movies, like for shopping malls or camping ground movies or Halloween, and he cuts them down to 30 minutes each, and he puts them together as a triple feature in 2 hours. And it's fascinating because technically you can't legally release that because it's a fan edit, but people went to it. These shows sold out for nearly 8 years, and eventually what happened was the show closed down because they ran out of movies to edit for the 80s, so it reverted to reruns. Eventually it just the audience died down too much. So while this show was happening, I decided to, as a test, since I couldn't get copies myself, I wrote down the names of the movies on there, and I tried to recreate my own copies of those shows that EJ Antilla ran at Alamo Drafthouse. And once the show ended, I started asking myself, what else can I apply this to? So I started to see if my backtracing clip would work at Alamo Drafthouse. Basically, you walk into the theater 40 minutes before the show. You write down the clips, descriptions of the clips on your order card. Then you find the stuff online. You can rip it and re-edit it yourself your own home copy. I did this for 350 screenings over a period of 4 years. And the irony of this is that while I was doing this, my friend had a roommate from many years ago who watched all of my early editing work that Alamo Drafthouse rejected, and he wanted me to hire me for his public access show, Zombie Life TV, to make a horror montage mixtape based on all the early work I did. He didn't care about the bootleg stuff that I did from Alamo Drafthouse. He wanted it based on the early work. And his reasoning for that was because I had a talent for scanning through 2-hour bad movies and pinpointing 5-second clips that were just gold. So I got the job on public access. I made the horror montage mixtapes for the end credits, and then in exchange for that, they trained me as a technical director to work behind the scenes in the control room. While I was working in the control room, I was basically the guy who sat down and followed the conversations, and I switched the camera angles based on who was talking in the audience. And once again, minor onset drama during that show, but the show was about the weirdos in Austin and the occult and whatever bands were playing, witches, vampires. Do you have any comments as of yet?
Well, I guess my initial question is like, how did you develop that skill to be able to sift through, pieces of bad, film or content and make something gold from it, like basically taking dirt and turning it into gold? How do you do that?
Practice makes perfect. See, I did it. It all started with the music video mixtape montages that I did at Alamo that got rejected. Basically, it looks intense when it's 2 hours, but when you got it on your computer and you scan through the video slowly, you can scan through the entire video in a minute and just look at it on a visual level. And you can separate the movies by mathematics. So when I made a music video, let's say it's 3 minutes long, and I need to take clips from 10 different movies. So 10 movies is times 60 minutes. No, I've got the math wrong. But anyways, you divide the clips by math, and then you divide each movie into the set number of segments that you're going to use, and you cut these movies into these little act breaks. And then you scan through each act break to find the 5-second clip that you want to put in there. And then you mix them all up using VLC Media Player Shuffle, and you put them into your queue to randomize them. And then it just matches the number of minutes you want. For example, if you got to decide in advance how long you want your clips to be: 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 3 seconds. If it's only 30 seconds fair use for each clip, 30 seconds divided by 6 seconds is 5 clips. Divided by 5 seconds is 6 clips. And if you use like 10 to 20 movies, you can come up with a 10-minute tape just from fair use 30 seconds.
Wow. I did not realize that. Okay, so then, I know you say, practice, makes perfect, but like, for somebody who's just starting out, how do they know which, I guess, industry to go in to do those type of things? Is it based off of passion, or is it based off of like talent, or what they have an interest for? Like, how do they go figuring that out?
Well, I've always been a big movie fan, but the thing is, I used to be a quitter. When I was 15, I started writing screenplays, and I didn't have anybody to make movies with. You know how you hear about Sam Raimi, and Sam Raimi had his own filmmaking buddies to make films with as a kid. You hear about Kevin Smith, and he makes movies over in New Jersey. I didn't have that as a kid. I didn't get that until I met my friends on Zombie Life TV. The entire reason that I was able to make movies today is because of the connections I made through that internship. I didn't get paid for it, but I met the right people, and it gave me the credibility that I needed so that people would want to make movies with me when I approached them. Without that kind of credibility or work experience under my hands, they may have just said no, and it never would have happened.
Wow. Okay, so then what were you say that a person should get started? I mean, should they go for internships that don't get paid, or like, I guess, how do you actually make money doing this?
Well, that's the thing. I don't make money in this, but that because I can't get a job. But I am well provided for by family members, and I understand it. other people aren't in the same position that I am right now. But you see, basically, I've been on the world's longest unpaid internship, and it feels unfair in a way, but what it's ultimately left me down to is, what do I do this for? Do I do this for the money, or do I do this to the art? I do it for the art and the sake of making movies on a budget of nothing, because I enjoy making it. I'm not going to get paid for it. I might never get paid for it. I'm just a starving artist like so many others. But so my reward is in the audience, and so I'm so against making money that I take the monthly allowances I give, and I burn up DVD copies of these cases, and I give them away to people. I give them away to people on LinkedIn as a part of my resume. I give them away to the band members and cast members that volunteer their talents to me for free in those movies. I just give them away. I donate them to Goodwill sometimes over the internet. I've done a few of those. Goodwill will accept home movies as long as they have a DVD case. Okay, because it's a thrift store shop and they're not paying you for it.
Right.
So that's the one form of self-distribution that I can get, is Goodwill.
Oh, okay. So what are some other ways to actually promote the work that you do? Do you use like Goodwill, YouTube, combination of LinkedIn? Like, how do you actually get your work out there to people to see it?
Well, that's the thing. I've tried everything and nothing works, but I have learned a few things about why it doesn't work in a way. So here's a tip that you should know on YouTube. When you do YouTube advertising, there are two different forms of advertising. You can run your video in front of someone else's video, or you can do a discovery ad, meaning it will pop up as a recommended video on the side of the video, and they can decide if they want to click on it. Well, I can tell you right now from personal experience, if you run it in front of the video, nobody's going to watch it. They will. It gives them the option to skip it in 5 seconds, and they're not interested in your video. They're interested in the video that they clicked on. So I think that form of advertising is a waste of time, unless you're running a short 30-second commercial or a music video that starts immediately with no black space in front of it. But the ones that you do want to do are the discovery ads, where it recommends the videos on the side. And the reason for that is that when people click on them, it will be of their own free will, which means they are generally interested in watching the video. Now, I wish I had known this when I started advertising these videos, but I didn't, and I just didn't really have the money for advertising them. Now I do. So as an experiment, I took one of my Bad Goddess cartoons and I added a Japanese translation voice track to it.
Okay.
And then I used the advertising to pinpoint it to all of the regions in Japan as a discovery ad video. Because the videos makes use of famous anime characters from Oh My Goddess, the TV series, people clicked on the video of their own free will, and lo and behold, something happened on this advertising that did not happen on any of the other advertisements I did. People commented on it. Now, 130 people hated the video, but 42 people liked the video, which tells me that this could pick up a cult following, even if it divides the audiences. All I have to do is stick with it. But that's not the important part. The important part is, for once in my life, people were actually voting, and people were actually commenting and saying what they liked about the video and what they did not like about the video, and how weirded out they were that an American was advertising a fan fiction show to their own native country and their own language.
That is crazy. Wow, I've never even heard of like actually doing that. Like, I've always heard, marketers just saying, run a YouTube ad on somebody else's video, but in my mind, like you were saying, that people will just skip it. I know I skip it. So why do that strategy when people aren't interested in the video that you're trying to get people to go towards? So that's actually very smart.
People are always like, why don't you do a Kickstarter to raise money for this? And it's like, I have done these things. Nobody wants to give me money for them because nobody cares. Nobody knows who I am. I've tried that. And they said, well, what if you follow the rules to get it into the YouTube algorithm? Well, let's see, you shared a video on all the platforms, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, the Mixer blog or whatever, the Pinterest. Whatever you want to call it. But the thing is, that doesn't really work either because you don't have much of an audience. But the main thing that's prevented a bad goddess from finding its audience is that they're not looking for a bad goddess. They don't know what it is. Kodansha is, they look to Kodansha Entertainment to announce whether a video exists or not and if they support it. And they're not going to do that because it's a fan film show. Kodansha has not said one word about this, nor have I ever gotten a comment from any of the voice actors. And when people do, so that means the only way they would find it is if they did a search for Oh My Goddess. And therein lies the problem. There are so many pirated Oh My Goddess videos online for the first and second seasons that it overpowers any my videos and prevents them from popping up in a search. But here's the difference between America and Japan. It doesn't do that in Japan. My videos pop up immediately in a search in Japan. I don't know why, but they do. So I have a better chance of reaching my audience in Japan than I do in America. In fact, Oh My Goddess has suffered a downfall recently, an audience in America, because they haven't produced any new media recently. People have started to lose interest, and book sales have dropped to the point that they're not even printing the books anymore. But the audience still exists in Japan, the main audience. They still release action figures over there. They just now released a new manga series called All My Job Hunting Goddess, which is by these two new guys. And I'm depending on All My Job Hunting Goddess to raise audience interest again, so that they will start doing searches for All My Goddess again. If they do that, they will find my IMDb listing for my movie, and they will discover it, and they will check it out for their own. But, do you have any questions?
Yes. So I guess another big question for me is, what are some other tools that could actually be, useful to people who are actually, doing what you're doing to actually try to get more discovery or just connecting with the right people? I know you said, through your internship, you were able to connect with the right people, but what are some other ways and other tools that can make, other creators like you more successful?
That's the thing. I'm not successful. I'm not successful in an audience way. I don't make money. The only way that I am successful is that I actually make these movies and they exist. And at first you think this is a form of failure at first, but the thing is, I've been doing this so long, so relentlessly, that I have 37 directing credits on Internet Movie Database, not counting all of the video comic episodes that I made. If you added those in, it would be like 100 directing credits. And, it's just like failing my way up the ladder, one stepping stone at a time. And now I have this impressive resume that everybody is freaked out by. I'm starting to I sent this resume out to thousands of people on LinkedIn in the industry and in the music industry and to see, and I got the attention of some talent scout promoters from Sony that are interested in me doing those documentaries with some new artists over there, but that hasn't worked out yet, but we'll see. But you see, it just depends on what your feeling of success is. You think that success is about being famous, but it's not. Success is about your art form reaching who it reaches out to. So, as you said earlier, your show only has a few hundred people. But what's more important, that my message get out to 1 million people who don't care, or for 50 people watching this video who will walk away with a life lesson they can learn from? That, to me, is a form of success.
Exactly. Wow. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, think about all this thing that you're doing. You're just, people would see them as failures, but to me and you, look, you're building your success house. right here. For, talent agents to be saying, wow, this is really impressive with all the things that you've done. And, you're getting the attention, which is, I think, key. But you did the work. You had to do the work. If you don't do the work, then, why bother, right?
Yes, but there are a few pitfalls that everybody should know about. See, when you look at filmmakers like Robert Rodriguez and Sam Raimi and Lloyd Kaufman, you think that guerrilla filmmaking is cool and all that, but there's something that these people don't tell you about it. If you just walk in there and shoot the movie without contracts or release forms, nobody's going to release it. See, now you're thinking well, what if I have the money to release it? Well, that's the problem. Now, let's suppose that you want, in order to release this in the used bookstores as a used movie, you want to print it on professional silver retail DVDs. Well, in order to get do that, you have to go to a professional printer. And a professional printer is not going to do your movie unless you have an IPR form. And in order to get an IPR form, you have to have legalized paperwork, contractual paperwork, that proves that you own the rights to everything in this video. If you want to show your movie at a film festival, you have to have the paperwork that proves you have the rights for it.
What?
So if you don't do that, if you just shoot the movie on its own without this, and you have just handshake permission with people, you can put it on YouTube and you can burn it to DVR and you can give it away like I do, and you can donate them to Goodwill, but you can't do a legitimate thing to get it to good publicity. You can't get it into film festivals. You can't release it on legitimate DVDs, and if you don't do that, people aren't really going to take it seriously. So what you need is, if you're so focused on shooting the movie, you need a second person, the producer, to handle the release forms and waivers and paperwork side of it, things when you shoot these things, so that there's a chance that your work can get released. See, now I know how to make these things on a budget of zero, but just because I make movies in this way doesn't mean everybody else should. I do what works for me, and you got to do what works best for you. My movies are interesting because they have a no-budget feel to them, which differs from the big-budget Hollywood movies that are out there. And I love those movies.
Yeah.
I sit through them in the theater all the time. I love the summer movies, but I don't want to make them. I want to be different. I want to be my own distinct voice. I want people to like me on my own terms, you know?
Yeah.
I'm sure that I could easily have a video comic series I did to somebody else. They could do their own good take on it, and maybe adapt the series, and they would be famous. But I don't want to. I want people to like this series on my terms for what I get to it. I want them to appreciate it on that level. I don't care if it ever becomes an anime. As long as they like the work that I make, I'm good with it.
Yeah, that's very important. I mean, like, and I think that's where people get caught in that trap, is like, well, I want to be seen, I want my works to be noticed, I want to be famous, and, I want the fame, the money, but then, it's like, why did you even start this journey anyway? Was it for the art, or was it for the money? And if it's for the money, then, by all means, gear your focus on that, but otherwise, you may lose the creative, drive that you initially had at the beginning. And so I think people forget that, it's about creating and creating something that's very unique to you, that it doesn't matter, whether, 1 million people or 100 people or even one person sees it. It's the fact that you created something, you stand behind it, you're passionate about it, and that's what you wanted to actually create, right? So that's amazing. So I guess what I guess, the things that you've done, throughout the years, like, honestly, I got to ask this serious question. What kept you motivated to, like, continue to do it? Like, I mean, what keeps you motivated?
What keeps me motivated? Well, the fact that I don't have a job or anything else to do. It's all cliched saying the number one killer of old people's retirement, having nothing to do. Well, being forced into that blacklist under 12 years is almost the same as retirement. You have to find something to do over the years. I kept myself, my life, and my family life going by being a caretaker for my grandmother in assisted living. She let us live in her house, and we had a roof over our head and food on the table. And after she and my family, I'm living off the retirement funds right now. I have 5 years left to get my career off the ground and get actual employment. If I don't do it, I'm screwed. But I think I'm off to a really good start. But the thing that motivates me, the thing that I think is the coolest part about being a filmmaker, is the creative freedom. What is the one thing about movies that people hate, that their creative freedom gets taken away from them? I hate when a producer tells them that they have to rewrite something because they're trying to make money off of it.
Correct.
You make a movie, you want to do it for art, but the sad truth is you have to consider the bottom line. Somebody is investing their life savings into this movie, and it's not fair for you to ask them all of their money just so you can make art. They want to know that there's some chance of their investment back, and it makes them paranoid to the point that they're going to sit here and tell you what you need in the movie to get that. They are second guessing what they think the audience wants. The genius of making these films is because they cost nothing to make, and because I don't have a producer sitting over my shoulder telling me what to do, I can be honest and original as possible. I can do cartoons that would never ever get produced about allegory and meta and existentialism and catharticism, things that would never happen on Oh My God's TV series. I can do the character crossovers that they couldn't legally do on the real TV because of the rights If Mangaka Kazuki Fukushima goes out and marries a girl cosplayer who's less than half his age, and it becomes a scandal on the internet, they're going to say no comment. They don't want to comment on it because they're afraid of getting sued. But I can make a cartoon called the Bad Guys Anniversary Special and tear my hair out you, and they can't fire me for it because I don't work for them.
Right.
If Kyoto Animation suffers horrific fire and 35 people die in it, and the companies are so scared of what the public think of their emotions right now that they start out butchering and censoring their own anime show to do with fires, like they did with Fire Force. I don't have to worry about that. I can speak from the heart and speak their feelings on the matter in a manner that would scare the living hell out of these companies and fear of public life. And they can't do anything about it because I don't work for them. I openly state in the video that it's my opinion, not theirs, and that all I'm doing is just borrowing their characters for it. You know, that's the kind of creative that makes Bad Goddess and Marla gets the spin-off so fun. You know, the You're Under Arrest Again cartoons are a really fun premise. Basically, I took these police officer characters who were engaging in fictional bullshit storylines online that would only happen in a cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
I started applying them to life, police tragedy situations, like the tragic shooting of Oakland Jean by Amber Geiger, or a girl who was shot in the back of a police car with her arms behind her back. Not to get too political about it, or operation issues, things that they would never talk about in a real TV show.
Right.
But I can get away with it because of the creative freedom of fan fiction. The original show creators do not want you to copy them when you make fan films. They don't want you to be canon to their work. They want you to do something drastically different that is not unlike their work, so that they can have their own rights as characters. They want you to be different. They want you to explore new things, as long as you're not trying to be the same as. And that is the genius of Bad Goddess and Marla gets a spin-off. That is why I enjoy making that show. Just all of the failures and all of the sufferings that I've suffered. That is why I continue to make it, and it costs nothing to make. Comments?
Yeah, I think that you hit it right on the head, man. Creative freedom, and that's what kind of happens. Even, you know, we can take it to the artist level, who's a rapper or a singer. They're restricted by, you know, their contract, and, you know, they're not able to create the way they want to create because they're so busy worried about having to, you know, meet the sales of, you know, whatever. And the same thing goes in the film industry. You know, people who want to create this, you know, movie that they have in their mind, well, they have to be considerate of who's investing in their movie. And I think sometimes artists forget to, you know, yeah, if you want to do something that's creative, that's fine. You might have support somewhere else, but if you're doing something that's on somebody else's dime, well, you have to make sure that they get their money back from, you know, investing in your idea, your film, you know. And I think people, you know, forget that sometimes. Kevin, thanks for being on the show and just sharing your wisdom, which you have on the show. And what are some final words you would like to impart on the show, my man?
My final words of wisdom is this. Over the course of your entertainment careers, you're going to make friendships, and there's going to be some minor onset trauma incidents that might break those friendships apart. But the one thing that you must remember is that if you burn all of your bridges, there will be nobody to help you out in life to help yourself up the ladder. So it's important to try and mend these broken relationships and show forgiveness to your friends. You might not be able to do it immediately, but over time heals everything. If I ran off all of my friends, I would not be able to make movies with anybody. So that's why forgiveness is in order.
All right, that was awesome. Kevin, thank you so much for being on the show, man. And you got to tell the people, where can the people connect with you and find more of your work at?
Now, if you want to find my movies online, just go to, look up Kevin Neece on YouTube, Neece. There you'll find the Bad Goddess cartoons and all of my documentary works and the Zombie Life TV public access shows I worked on, and an audio reading of The Story of a Blacklisted Bootlegger. You can find that book online also by doing a search for the title on Yahoo and just look for the website called Booksy. And the book is available for free. I'm never gonna try to publish it or anything. If you need to contact me, if you live in the Austin area, if you're a band and you want to shoot a live music documentary or something, you can contact me on Facebook. I'm easily accessible on Facebook and LinkedIn. I don't have like a manager that you're going to have to run through to get a message to me. I am still accessible to everybody. Thank you for having me on the show. It's a true honor for me to be your first interview on my end, because when I was on Zombie Life TV, Eddie always promised that he would give me a spot on the show one time, which I wasn't ready for, and it never happened. So this is my first interview for somebody else's show, and I thank you for that.
Mastermind family, that is going to do it for this episode. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with everyone. And you can find more of these episodes on Anchor/mastermindcomics. And also you can find it on Spotify and also on iTunes. And we will see you guys on the next episode.